people should be made to know that every attempt to promote ethnic division in the church is a sin, and there will be spiritual consequences for it. I'm glad to welcome you to another episode of Ekklesia Peace Network, an initiative for the promotion of the peace of the household of faith. Last episode, we discussed the primordial dimension of ethnicity. Today, we want to look at another dimension, and that is what the scholars call constructivism. And it's just about argument that ethnicity is a social construct. They disagree to the primordial school that ethnicity is biological or fixed. They argue that what you see today in ethnic groups were not there originally. They were historically developed. That historically, ethnicity developed with the history of people. And that is why culture do change. And I believe every one of us can relate to this. There are aspects of every culture that have changed in the last 30 years, in the last 20 years, in the last 10 years. There are Yoruba words that I grew up to know that are not being used again today. It is because of the dynamic nature of culture and languages. This from biblical history by ourselves. We ask ourselves, the ethnic group called the Jews today, were they originally there? When God first called Abraham to leave his father's place, was that ethnic group there? When Isaac was born, when Jacob and Esau were born, when Jacob moved to Laban's house, can we say we have the Jew as ethnic group in the scripture at that time? When Joseph got to Egypt, do we have the Jews? In fact, the nation of Esau was formed before the nation of Israel. So we can say that even the Edomites existed before the Israelites. And this is to back the argument of the school that says ethnicity is a social construct. Then what are the implications of the argument of the school of social construct for the church? Number one, it points to the fact that the church can construct a culture of cultural relationship that limits the influence of ethnicity in the church. If the various ethnic groups can historically develop over time, that they now look like natural, the church also can develop her own culture guided by the scripture. A covenant culture where church members see themselves first as belonging to Christ, and this must be done intentionally. Number two, the church in doing this must deconstruct ethnic boundaries. This is by making members believe in the family of God as the most important family that they have. If church members have a sense of belonging to the church, seeing the church as the most important family that they have, that meets their needs, that meets their purposes, then we would have deconstructed ethnic boundaries across all lines. We should remember the story of Perpetua in the early church history. She was to be killed, and her family members told her to deny Christ because of her child. And she made an important statement. She said, I cannot call myself anything other than what I am, a Christian. Perpetua sees herself first as a Christian before seeing herself as a mother. Others that advised her to deny Christ saw her first as a mother, but she saw herself first as a Christian. Being a Christian to her was the most important thing, above motherhood, above culture, above family. Another thing is that the church will ensure that people are appointed into church offices because they are competent, not because of where they come from. Additionally, the church social support should be neutral and not partial. Also, the church should promote teachings that emphasize that ethnic divisions are not ordained by God. God did not ordain ethnic division. People should be made to know that every attempt to promote ethnic division in the church is a sin, and there will be spiritual consequences for it. Additionally, the church must examine how it produces or reinforces ethnicity. There are some times that the church system reinforces ethnicity. When there's partiality, when the church is not neutral, the church by that is reinforcing ethnicity. And therefore, the church must consider those things and work on them. It is also important for the theology of the church to engage critically with culture, distinguishing between gospel, which is unchanging, and cultural expressions that can change. The church must also become an agent of identity transformation. People already have their identity attached to their culture. The church can actually transform that identity, making people to see the church as the most important identity that they have. The church must see peace building as an essential task. That means every church must institute peace building mechanism for the church to always be at peace. In conclusion, when churches recognizes ethnicity as a social construct, the church will stop justifying ethnic division as natural. The church will begin to see it as something that can be developed, as something that can be transformed. It starts by taking responsibility for shaping unity and giving tools for conflict transformation. On that note, we will end this episode. And by the time we meet next time, we'll be discussing the last dimension of ethnicity, which is instrumentalism. Before then, I say, shalom.